Hello, hello, and welcome back. This is Don't Watch at Night, a spooky little podcast dedicated to Latin American and Spanish language horror. I'm your host, Valerie.
And I'm Veronica.
We're just going to open up the show right away with this. We are, at the time of this recording, it has been one day since the very tragic public killing of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis, as he was directing traffic and being a watchful observer and honestly protecting a woman who was being harassed by ICE. And he was gunned down by a bunch of ICE agents in the street. Just want to give our support to the people of Minneapolis who are going through so much right now. And honestly, states like Maine, who are also starting to see an influx of ICE in their communities. And it will only continue unless or until our stupid Congress does something. So anyway,
it's hard days that we're living through in this country and in other parts of the world. Other countries have their own horrors that they're dealing with. So just everybody out there, just take care of yourself, take care of the people you love.
Protect your communities.
Yeah. Commit random acts of kindness when you can.
And also worth mentioning, as we hold space for people like Alex Preddy, also Renee Good, also Keith Porter Jr., just want to send our love to everyone and like Ron said, encourage you guys to find community and take care of each other. So, Ron, how have you? This is also the weekend of like the snowpocalypse of Texas.
Not quite that bad.
It's not that bad. No,
but I think definitely people still have the memory of that experience because it was only 5-6 years ago.
What was it? 20 years ago, yeah.
HEB, which we were at today, and even yesterday, because our oldest son has a part-time job at HEB while he's in school, and the meat cases were just empty, and their deli section of like luncheon meat empty, and
we couldn't get eggs. We tried to stock up on eggs and we couldn't, so we have no eggs in the house, but it's okay. The PTSD of that time is definitely there for a lot of people. And I didn't realize this yesterday at all, Ron, until the day was halfway over, that there were parts of Austin that were without power for a period of time.
There were parts of our area also, not our neighborhood. We never lost power, but there were pockets of neighborhoods that were out of power for like 3 hours or so.
Yeah.
But before this happened, like Friday when I was still at work and we were expecting this bad weather, which I think they initially thought it was going to be even worse than it actually was, because already we were getting reports of like, there were long lines at the store, and my husband was like, I don't know why people are panicking. We're still going to be able to get to the store, by until like late Saturday evening. We're going to still be. And I said, well, yes, but how fast can the stores restock is my issue.
That's true. Yeah.
And because my son went into, he didn't work yesterday, but he did go into work today at noon. And when he got there, the truck with the new delivery of meat hadn't even arrived yet.
And everybody in Texas knows, if you work for HEB like my nephew does, then you know that boy is on the front lines of like, what is the word I'm looking for? Assistance and service in this state when it comes to disasters.
Yes, so we love our HEB in Texas because
he's essentially a frontline
worker. They take better
worker.
care of us than the government does.
Yeah, sad.
Okay. So our movie that we watched, and again, up front, we will be spoiling certain aspects, well, probably all aspects of this movie. So if you haven't watched it, it's definitely worth a watch, in my opinion. So go do that and then come back and check us out. This time we watched, what is this, 2024?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
2024's Spanish movie, Apocalypse Z, The Beginning of the End, available on Prime Video. Directed by Carles Torrens and based on, which I did not know this, a trilogy of books by Manel Loureiro. I may be pronouncing that wrong, but based on a series of books and starring Francisco Ortiz as Manel, Iria del Rio as Julia, Berta Vázquez as Lucia, José María Yaspic as Prichenko, Marta Poveda as Belén.
I continue to love that name, Belén.
Belén. I know I was going to say that too. I like that name, Belén. What was the other movie, Phenomena, that had a Belén character? Or the actress's name is Belén.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Name. Okay, yes. Anyway, going on. Longer runtime than is like standard.
2 hours. And so the plot deals with Manel is a lawyer whose efforts to rejoin his family while the outbreak of a global pandemic begins to turn infected people into aggressive creatures, zombies. So I did not know that this was I guess, going to be the first of, I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy like the books, but
Yeah.
at least they're planning a sequel. So the ending kind of, I was like, what?
Right.
But we'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think I saw that it was going to be a sequel, but I didn't anticipate such an abrupt ending. So yeah, I was like, well, yeah, now you got to do a sequel, because I'm like, what the hell was that?
Okay, Valerie. So initial impressions of the movie.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. I watched it over the weekend. The 2-hour runtime I was kind of unprepared for, so I was like, oh crap. I did split it up, not because I couldn't have watched it all in one sitting, but just because I had a bunch of other crap going on this weekend, so I had to split it up. I really liked it. I don't necessarily think it was doing new things in the genre, but what it did, I really enjoyed. So, I mean, we'll have more to say, but what were your initial thoughts of it?
I really well, of course, you guys know, I've said it before, that zombies genre is kind of my jam. And as usual, I went in with, I mean, I knew it was a zombie movie, but I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know the plot, didn't watch any trailers, didn't look at any photographs of it other than the picture of him on the motorcycle that pops up. We'll see when you Google the movie or to look it up. But I really liked it. Zombie movies can go one of two ways. They can either be kind of campy fun, and then the more serious ilk. And this one definitely leaned into the more serious side. I was sucked in. I was invested in Manel and his journey and the
his
people
cat.
And his cat. I really like. Robert says there's a site where you can always go and look up to see like if the dog or the cat or the animal in the movie survives the movie. I almost did it. I was really tempted, but I didn't want to risk running into any other spoilers, so I resisted. But yes, very stressed.
Stressed and worried about the cat the entire time.
Lucalo wasn't going to make it.
Lucalo.
Actually, when they were on the ship, I thought, oh, they're going to eat the cat. And luckily that did not happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, as vocal as the cat is, I was just like, oh my God, the cat's going to. And
you never saw The Quiet Place, the second movie, did you?
I never saw
the third movie.
I never saw any of the Quiet Place movies.
Oh my God, Valerie, you have to watch those.
I haven't. Why, is that zombie too?
No.
I think you said it's not.
They're good movies. Oh my God. Okay, we have to watch that then. Sometime in this chapter when we venture outside.
Yeah, I guess so. Sometimes John Krasinski bothers me, but I guess I could get past that. He has been good in things. It's not like he's not a good actor.
Well, on the plus side, in the first movie, there's not a lot of dialogue, so he doesn't actually say a lot. I like him. I think I like The Office, though. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I do like him in The Office. I do. I'm not sure where it shifted for me, where I just started getting bothered by him. But you know what? I think it was like his little stint in that, I think it was a Prime series where he's like this action guy. He's like action hero guy. I forget what it's called. Jack Ryan? Is that what it's called? I didn't like that series.
I did. Mom and Dad did.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I only watched a few episodes of it, and I just felt like it was so like, I don't know. I don't know what I'll talk about it more like off mic sometime. I'll keep my thoughts about that show to myself. I'll share them privately with Ronnie. But yeah, I didn't realize it was a book either. And evidently, Ron, and I might be getting this wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it started out as a blog kind of around the time frame that The Walking Dead was in its heyday of episodes, like its heyday of running as a show, popular show. At the time that was really popular and people were trying to capitalize on the zombie moment that was being had, I think this blog started and it just became so popular that it morphed into a book series. And then now, many years later, it's become this. So I think that's pretty cool.
And apparently it was a nice little hit for Amazon Prime in terms of... It's
wound up on a few lists. It's wound up on, he's very handsome.
He is. Francisco.
Tall and handsome.
That was a name in the running for both of my sons at some point.
Francisco. Yeah, that's a good one. Did you feel like, okay, so just the premise, the opening premise of the movie is very quickly we established that he and his wife they don't have kids. She wants kids. They're having a disagreement about that on the way home when they have a car accident and tragedy strikes and she gets killed in the accident. Mm-hmm. So then, the rest of the movie is just him kind of grappling with grief.
Like a year later, it picks up.
Yeah, like a year later. Him grappling with that grief and also him now being thrust into this apocalyptic scenario were there elements about that kind of felt a little John Wickish? I don't know. Not because he's very much kind of an action, like he's kind of a MacGyver in this movie. which is funny
Yeah, I
because
did
he's a
think, I was
lawyer.
like, well, it is certainly handy that he had all these things to like make his home,
And he just
fortify
sort of
his
like
home. And
he just sort of like manufactures kind of like this super suit.
yeah, it's like, it's a good thing you had all these things handy at home. What did strike me though is like, he's very mired in his grief. And so like the TV's on as he's kind of walking around his apartment and you're getting snippets of the news. And I keep thinking, dude, because COVID has actually happened in this world. Like
Yeah.
it's
In
our
the world of
world.
this story. Yeah.
And so COVID has happened in the past. And I'm like, considering that you're in Spain and COVID hit really hard in Europe before it really spread over here to the States, I'm like, you're really not paying attention to the news. You should be paying better attention.
A little bit more focused on what's happening, sir.
But as he's in the store and you see, which timing wise, right? Like we just experienced this here in Texas with people clearing out the stores. I was feeling that anxiety, that like kind of a
Yes.
low level of anxiety of like, and when everybody's like trapped in the, on the roads, because the roads are blocked because they've canceled on the flights. And so people are trying to drive out, but they can't because it's just gridlock. And I just felt that anxiety of like, of what that must feel like, to feel like trapped. You can't escape whatever's coming.
Yeah, like the entire first half of the movie is really, I really liked the way they laid the groundwork for what this contagion was going to be. And obviously we pick up very quickly that whatever this virus is, that is what
It ain't COVID.
Yeah, that is what the zombie inducing thing is. They really draw that out, and I don't say draw that out in a bad way, in a good way. They really draw that out and kind of force you to sort of look at these moments which are very familiar to us. And I talk about this. It's fear coupled with isolation. Even though you're surrounded by people, right, and you're seeing them all freak out, it still feels very isolating because you feel very on your own. And this is something that we all know because we went through that together. It's a feeling of isolation that we know well.
So I thought it did a good job of just kind of creating that level of tension in me, at least, as just watching.
Did you want to see more, like in those scenes where we're establishing that yes, there is a contagion, that is evidently what's causing it? Did you want to see more? Like, remember when they're walking that guy through the tent tube, like the tent tunnel, and you can tell that he's infected. And I wanted to see a little bit more. Like, I just wanted more moments like that.
Well, I figured it was going to come. But yeah, I just thought that it did a really good job in that first 30 minutes or so of the movie of just slowly building that tension and that level of isolation and that growing panic that you even see. Because at first, Manel's just so mired in his grief, he's just not really paying attention. It's not really registering with him. But then you even see in him slowly his level of awareness like finally kick in, and then that level of panic for him start to kick in as well.
And he hasn't been communicating with his sister much in the year of this. And so as he's finally starting to communicate with her about this scenario, she and her family are being taken to the where are they being taken to?
Canary Islands. What was interesting to me, and this touches on the whole topic of grief, and everybody experiences grief differently, processes what is it? Processes? What is that word? Processes? Deals with like processes? It's like processes grief differently.
Like processes. I don't know.
Processes grief differently. So he lost his wife a year ago in a car accident, and it seems that he hasn't really visited with his sister and his brother-in-law and his nephew, who apparently he loved and was a great uncle at the beginning of the movie, by all appearances. Hasn't visited them in this interim year, despite the fact that they only live about 30 minutes away. And so I thought that was interesting, because as he gets isolated, his sister is left for the Canary Islands, cell service is down, and he can't communicate, but he keeps recording little videos of himself to send whenever, if ever, he gets a signal. And in one of them, he says something to the effect of, I've been stupid. I wasted basically this year that I could have been spending with you guys. And now who knows if I'll ever see you again.
Right.
And so I thought that was interesting, that for some people, they might have processed the death of a spouse as, we're not guaranteed how long we're going to be here. And so let's make the most of the time with the people that we do have in our life. And so I'm going to make sure that I spend time with my nephew and my sister. but he kind of chose the opposite tack of allowing that
Pulling
distance
away.
and that time to build, which is a shame.
Yeah, and we don't really get to learn what that might be about, other than, maybe just some form of avoidance of anything that brings him back to that pain and that loss, too close to that pain and that loss, I should say. I thought that was really interesting too. And some of those scenes, all of those scenes where he's delivering those, I'm going to call them vlog messages to his sister. Those are really touching and beautiful scenes. He's essentially on his own for much of this movie, this actor, and he does a really great job of carrying the movie. In terms of what we were talking about, the early scenes of watching people, the society just sort of collapse under the fear of this threat. Was there anything you wanted to say? Because we've talked before when we've done zombie movies. And again, this is one of Veronica's favorite genres, sort of the way that zombies specifically are always sort of held up as like a reflection of our social anxieties of the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it certainly highlights how, people are different. When things are going bad, people have a choice of how they're going to respond. You can either be still a good person, like Manel is, and he tries to help everybody that he comes across along on his path, even if it puts himself at risk. And then you've got people like the men on the boat who just take advantage, and when given a little bit of power, just use that to do horrible things. I mean, I think it kind of definitely resonates with current situations, not just because of the pandemic issue and how people responded when that happened during COVID, but also just things going on in the United States right now. And again, in other countries experiencing their own levels of, or have experienced periods in their history where when people are given power who should never have power, and how they abuse that. And how does accountability happen when the bad people have power and have the power to decide, do we hold ourselves accountable? And very frequently the answer is no, we don't. We just do what we want.
That particular character, the ship dude, what are they, Russians?
I think it was a mix, but I think the main, guy was Russian.
It reminded me of the bad guy in the Walking Dead show. I never watched The Walking Dead, but he was giving up. What was that guy's name in The Walking Dead?
Well, there's a lot of bad guys. Depends on what season you're talking about.
But I think it's Negan.
Yeah,
Negan.
With a baseball bat.
I never watched the show, but I just remember getting too much information about the death of somebody named Glenn.
Yes, it was tough.
Veronica's
I think that was the season that finally defeated me. I was like, oh.
Veronica had an emotional response just now.
Because I think that was season 7. So that was 7 seasons of just constant emotional turmoil.
You're like, I can't do it anymore.
Crying almost every episode. And I just meant to take a little break and then go back, and I just never did. And now it's been so many seasons, and it's intimidating to
he reminded me of that.
Back up.
With Prochenko, who is he's on the ship. He very quickly established himself as a character who's not necessarily with these men. He's on the ship, and he's trying to stay alive.
He's going along to stay alive.
Right. And kind of just...
What's that saying, Valerie? Evil is allowed to flourish when good men do nothing.
Yeah. And the only reason really that Prochenko kind of comes out of that is at Manel's urging, because Manel is saying, hey, something's not right here. These people are not on the up and up. But there's a particular exchange that they have later on in the film, the two of them, Manel and Prochenko, that really resonated with me. And that was a lot because of what has transpired in our country this weekend. It's a exchange in the film where they're in the car together. They've gotten off the ship. They've escaped the ship. And Manel is talking to Prochenko about everything that's gone on, these bad men and what they were doing. And he says, when all this ends, people will have to answer for what they've done. And Prochenko kind of shakes his head wearily. And he says something to the effect of, don't you see, this will never end? Or he says something like that, but he says, this will never end. And it just really hit home for me. And by the way, I'm glad that Prochenko makes it. Were you?
Well, part of me was like, well, if he's the only one that can, because they're trying to get to this helicopter at a hospital, and I'm like, well, if he's the only one that can fly it, then he has to live.
That's what I kept telling myself too. I was like, he's got to make it, because otherwise they're all dead. So
poor Gabriella.
Which one? That was the old lady?
The elderly lady in the wheelchair that apparently her family, I don't know if it was her son or her daughter, just left her. Just abandoned her.
Did they live with her and they left her? Or did they just never even come for her?
She told Manelo that
she's in a wheelchair. Like
Yeah,
she's
elderly
she's
woman
wheelchair bound.
that Manel comes across when he's like hitting up empty houses looking for food. She says that they told her they were going to go get the kids and they would be back for her, and they never came back.
They never
they
came
just-
back. When the time comes where they realize they have to go, she realizes that it's just not going to be plausible for her to go because she is elderly. She is wheelchair bound. It seems like she ends up taking her own life. Is that the sense you got? Yeah. I was worried that like when he was radioing her and she wasn't responding, I was worried he was going to come in and find out she'd been attacked. So I will say this. I'm glad that she got to go out on her own terms. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said this in my notes. I honestly think like if it came right down to it, Ronnie, and I was in a similar situation, I would probably do the same thing. I would go out as still me, not as like a zombie. But yeah, I was sad for her too. I was hoping that somehow he would just strap her to the motorbike and go with her.
Well, that's what I was like, oh, I want to see this. How he's riding off with the Lucolo, the cat in a carrier, strapped her riding on the back of his
when he
motorcycle.
started up the motorbike and I see that we see the cat in the carrier strapped to the back. I was like, oh, the cat hates that. Like the cat does not like that.
Lucolo.
I saw a review where they describe it as like a grumpy old cat. I'm like, I don't think that, honestly, that cat gets put through a lot through this movie and he's pretty sweet.
He tolerated it pretty well.
What were your thoughts on the end? Well, any of the hospital stuff in particular. I was thinking about that.
Well, I was surprised that 2 women and 3 children were still somehow
alive,
surviving down there. Like, where they? I mean, I guess a hospital would have a lot of food,
right? I got the sense that they had kind of occupied a floor of the hospital and had maybe barricaded it off from the threat. But I'm like, could you safely barricade yourself and not be found out by these zombies? Did you get the sense that these zombies respond to, you know how at the end of the movie where they're moving out towards the helicopter and they're covered in the crates, like they're barricading behind these cages, right? On wheels. And they were moving very slow at first and none of the zombies were responding to them. And that kind of gave me the impression that if you move slowly enough and if you're quiet enough, as I'm sure these 2 women and these children were on the floor of this hospital, maybe it was possible for them to go undetected for a long period of time. Because it seems like these zombies only pick up on like sudden movement, maybe? I don't know.
Noise.
When it came time for the helicopter escape, as much as I am glad that everybody made it out, was there a part of you that was like, realistically, would Manel have made it out of there?
What do they call her? Sister?
The sister,
the older lady didn't make it.
Yeah, the older lady didn't make it.
I figured she was a goner because I knew somebody was going to have to. I didn't think they were going to take out any of the kids.
Right.
Although Walking Dead did. So I wasn't completely ruling it out, but I didn't think it was likely that any of the kids would be taken out.
When the kid who sees her mother, her infected mother, when she kind of calls out mama, I did for a split second think, oh crap, they're going to lose that kid to this scenario because she's going to be like, mama, and she's going to go running to her mom. But no, there was a part of me that sort of, I'm happy that Manel made it out there, but out of it. But I'm like, but would he have? I was really getting nervous about the helicopter being able to take off because of the onslaught of zombies that were coming and the Russian people who showed up at the last second. So I was just like, them waiting for him is putting them in danger. They should take off. They do.
Well, they did.
They did.
Technically.
But I'm just like, man.
Because she had to drop the ladder. But I did think, because I did not know that there was going to be a sequel, I thought this was going to be it. So I figured, typical. He's going to sacrifice himself so that they could get away. And I thought that was going to be the ending. So yeah, I'm not mad that he didn't. And it could still happen in the next movie. It could still happen.
I am happy that he made it out. And I am curious to know, because I was trying to find anything about this potential sequel, because what I've read so far is that it has begun filming, but I've seen no mention of that actor. So I'm like, is he not going to be part of the story? Because hello, we need to know.
Maybe they're maybe it's going to be telling the sister side of the story and what's happening. I don't know. I haven't read about it, but
maybe so. Yeah,
maybe they're going to do that track.
What little I did see of it, it does seem to cover more of like what's happening on the Canary Islands. So maybe it will be more from her POV with him as like a side character or something.
But I did think when the movie ended the way it did, with the helicopter has lifted off, and you think, they've made it. He's going to reunite with his sister and her family. And then her call connects, and she's telling him in a panicked voice, no, don't come here, turn around, go back. Of course, because I didn't look up until after it was over. And so I still didn't know that it was a sequel. And I was thinking, well, this is typical. Because really, there can't really be a happy ending for a zombie movie, because how do you turn that around when the whole world, the population worldwide has been decimated? Like, how do you turn that around?
And I was going to ask you, I think I have a general idea of why, but I just kind of want to hear it from you in case you have a more of a solidified take on it. In the beginning, when they're evacuating people from the community that he lives in, and he decides not to go, and also based off of what his sister tells him too, why is it that he decides? Like, I'm not sure I understood why.
Because she's telling him basically, because her husband apparently is in the military, so maybe she's got insider knowledge, but it makes sense. The more concentrated people you have in one spot, the greater the risk that there's going to be infection, and it's going to spread, which is what happened. So he was better off alone or in smaller groups, because if you're in a camp where they've quarantined people or have safe zoned people, it just takes one person to get infected, and then it's going to rip like wildfire through everybody.
There was a line that his sister says, or maybe it was either his sister or the news, but I think it was his sister, when they're talking about it. They're talking about the upcoming evacuations, and she's telling him, to hunker down, stay put. I made a note of it because she mentioned something about Belgium and something about how they did things. And so in my brain, I was thinking, like what you're saying, I think it's what you're saying. But what entered my brain for a minute was like, what if they evacuated all these people and then just took them somewhere and kind of like exterminated them or something? Like, just decided it was a too big of a risk to recovery. I don't know. I was just thinking, are they wiping people out? Is that why she doesn't want him to go? Because they're going to wipe that group of people out? Yeah, what you're saying makes sense. So we'll go with that. Anything else that stood out to you about, I don't know, the zombie baby?
Did they ever say, the zombie baby. Did they ever say, is that why, why didn't he take the bigger boat? Like, that would be better shelter. He took the little
I don't know if it was that he couldn't get it to start or what, but yeah, he saw that was the boat he saw zombie baby on, and then he ended up taking the little motorboat.
Yeah, I would have taken the bigger boat.
Yeah, there was a zombie baby stuck in a whatever. What do they call them?
High chair.
High chair. Thank you.
Trapped in a high chair. The other thing I was wondering about when they were making their escape on the helicopter is like, do you guys even know how much gas you've got? Do you have enough gas to get to wherever you're trying to go? Because you're flying over the ocean.
Right. There was a part, like when he goes on the motorboat and he is out there to sea, I was sort of thinking, I was like, well, honestly, that might be the safest place for him. It's like, if you
that's what I thought at the beginning of the movie when he's like selling or looking to sell the boat that he has, I guess, that him and his wife own. I'm like, of course he has no idea what's coming, but I'm thinking, dude, don't sell it. You're going to need that.
Right.
Of course, somebody stole it and made off with all the boats.
Get on the high seas, because zombies wouldn't know how to swim, right?
I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think so. Like, in the event of a zombie apocalypse, I would think the key to survival would be like, you've got to take to the high seas, but keep your crew small, because like you said, the more people you have, the more you risk contagion. That's what I'm going to have to do. We're going to have to become pirates.
Did they ever say what they were doing with the other survivors that they were coming across on the ship run by the Russian? Obviously they kept the men that he thought were useful to him, but like, what were they doing with the other people?
I don't know. Like, what became of the guy's wife and child, I don't know. But I know that Pachenko was telling him, or somebody was telling him, that like he was taking those who would serve him, be of service to him, and he was going to start like a community on some island or something like that. So I guess that's what they were all going for. But like, what happened to the wife and the child? I don't know.
Yeah,
we don't see them.
I don't know if I had missed it, because there was parts in there where I was fast forwarding because I just it was too tense, and I was like, and I was convinced they were going to eat the cat. So
you're like, I don't want to see them eat the cat. So how did you feel about like zombies? The zombies that we saw, and mind you, this is a production that was working with a limited budget. I probably in the sequel maybe they'll get a bigger budget. But how'd you feel the zombies looked?
I mean, they were okay. I've seen better. I've seen worse. So
yeah, not even necessarily like you don't see a ton of graphic violence. Like, you don't see a ton of zombies going at people. You see, like, we have a few scenes of it, but nothing over the top, nothing excessive. And apart from the zombies going at the nun, we don't see any zombies go at any like main characters.
Right.
There's just like, it's just random people. So that's kind of unique, I guess. Usually in a lot of the zombie movies I've seen, some key figure. We see, like Train to Busan, we saw lots of brutality in that one. Lots of emotional trauma of that one. The boyfriend and the girlfriend. I'm thinking specifically of the boyfriend and the girlfriend.
I really enjoy it. Would put it up there with some of my favorite. So I'm looking forward to seeing the second movie when it comes out.
And this one, like, coming out in 2024, I had not heard anything about it. So it's very cool to have stumbled upon it. I mean, I'm sure we're alone in that because, like Ronnie said, this has wound up on quite a number of lists. So I think it was a hit with Amazon Prime and hence the sequel. But I had no clue about it. So I'm glad we found it.
I would recommend it. It's a good movie to watch.
Yep, for sure. Give it a watch. If you know anything about a sequel, be sure to share with us because I would definitely watch the follow-up. Ron and I are planning on picking out a new book very soon and announcing that on the show. Actually, Ron, there were some books that I wanted to run by you as potential ideas. There's a book, Ron. I don't recommend this for right now, but there's a book called Itza by Rios de la Luz. And it's a novella, but it examines the lives of a small family of water witches living near the U.S.-Mexico border. Explores issues of race and trauma along with beauty and magic. Itza is a powerful reclamation of body and identity. It sounds really good, actually. And Gabino Iglesias wrote a blurb for the book just saying, Itza is not... Hold on. I can't read. Where did I see? Oh, here he goes. Itza is full of magic, death, water, memories, beauty, and pain. This is a narrative about womanhood that's packed with blood and multiculturalism. The bilingual scream of resistencia is exactly what frontera fiction should be. And Rios de la Luz is a word bruja of the highest order. That's from Gabino Iglesias. That one's a cool one, but there was also The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro. But then there was another one, Ron, and now I'm spacing on what it was. Okay, there's this one, Ron. It's called This Thing Between Us, and it's by Gus Moreno. It's a horror novel about a grieving man, Thiago, who moves to a secluded cabin after his wife Vera's death, only to find that there's a supernatural entity tied to, this is going to sound silly, tied to a smart speaker. And it's haunting him and feeding on his grief. So it kind of deals with technological horror and, of course, themes of grief and loss and all that stuff. So those are kind of cool, interesting books that I thought might be things to consider. Are you reading anything else right now?
No, I haven't had any time to. I'm in the middle of a book, but I haven't been able to pick it up in several weeks.
I was realizing I do need to start a book from my neighborhood book club. This is not a horror read, but I am going to tell you guys what it is anyway, because, you know, maybe it'll interest you. It's called the Ladies Midnight Swimming Club, and I don't know what it's about, but I do know that it centers around older characters. So I'm always a fan of books that incorporate older female leads. So elderly women, reading it for my neighborhood book club. They usually go for like feel good books. So this is probably going to be a very feel good, book.
You look disappointed.
The one time I've gotten them to read some darker stuff and they're always like, that was too dark. That was depressing. I'm like, fine. You don't want to read about murder. That's fine.
I did see, I think I had sent you a picture of this book, like, I don't know, last year or the year before. What's it called? Shoot. And I just saw yesterday that they're making a movie about it. It's based on I think it was New York City Medical Examiner, Things the Dead Tell Us, or I don't know, something.
Oh, cool.
Something. And it's just kind of like little stories of her experiences as a medical examiner.
And they're making a show about it?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
If I can find it again, I'll send you.
I still need to watch. There's some new Agatha Christie.
Oh, Seven Dials. I watched the first episode.
Okay, so it's a show. I didn't know if it was a show or if it was a movie.
Well, that's the only Agatha Christie
thing that you're
show right now that I think it's on Netflix. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I need to give that a look. We'll finalize a pick and get it announced soon. Don't you worry, guys, and you will have plenty of time to read along with us. And a reminder that if you have not joined us on Patreon yet, you should go do it. It's free to join, and there's a lot of stuff you get just by joining. If you are able to support the work of the show and be part of our $3 tier, that's amazing, and we're so appreciative, and that does unlock everything for you so that you never have to worry about whether or not you have access to something. Presently, that's where we post all of our book club cocktail information. You get that first before anybody else. We also do Patreon bonuses like film commentaries. We are going to be doing watch parties this year. You get first access to our live streams and our video episodes. Actually, you're the only ones who get access to our video episodes. So join Patreon. It'll be linked for you guys in our show notes. If you have feedback for us, our email is going to be linked in our show notes. The only other thing that Ronnie and I wanted to make sure to plug before we go is that as we are heading into February, you may be in a state like our state here in Texas that has a registration deadline coming up, a voter registration deadline. A couple of states are going to be having March primaries this year. And so if you plan to vote in those, you just want to be cognizant of voter registration deadlines that might be coming up in your area. And so we want to encourage you guys to make sure your voter registration is up to date, especially right now, especially in this climate. Everything is crazy. And so don't take a chance and assume that your registration is current and good to go. Make sure it is. You can go to vote.org, which will give you information on any state. But if you live in Texas, you can go to votetexas.gov and just make sure that you have everything ready to go. Don't leave anything to chance. Don't leave anything to last minute. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Ron, before we go?
Just a quote in these dark days. And I don't always feel this hopeful, but this is a quote that comes from a letter that J.R.R. Tolkien wrote to his son Christopher in 1944. He says, "Evil labors with vast power and perpetual success in vain, preparing always only the soil for unexpected good to sprout in."
That was beautiful.
Be the unexpected good.
And it's such a good thing for right now too, when we're in the dead of winter and it seems like everything is barren and dead, and it's just a reminder that good things might be brewing below the surface. We'll leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Don't Watch at Night is a Nest production. Executive producers are Valerie and me. Editing by Valerie. Music by Omar Chakor. Special thanks to Lorenzo Villarreal and Alex Street for production support for this episode. Listen to any new episodes every other Monday, and if you like our show, give us a rate and a review. It's the best way to help us grow.